Oh, today I've decided that, I want to make a video about the latest changes in For Honor, about what is it, year 2, season 2, yeah, year 2, season 2 Tyranny. And this isn't like some kind of review of the whole season overall, but this is just like my initial thoughts, I guess. And so basically, I just want to say this just came out yesterday, so it's far too early to tell everything. And this is all just my opinion, yada yada. Nothing set in stone except a couple of things, but those pieces aren't my opinion. They're genuine facts. But um, for me, so far, uh, everything I see, reading patch notes and everything like that, this season Tyranny is very polarizing. Mostly because, uh, mostly because, if I'm going to be completely honest, I'm slightly concerned. Just off of the surface, slightly concerned. Because there's good stuff, and then there's of course bad stuff, and it's all very polarizing for me. I don't know how to feel about it, or I do kind of know how to feel about it, but it's just overall I don't know how to feel about this season. And but I guess I'll start off with like uh, one good thing that I can think of off the top of my head, is that like the lore, the lore seems the lore seems to be getting a bit more interesting. I remember watching the reveal stream, and I was sitting there scratching my head because the person, the person in what looked like Apollion's armor, to me does not look like Apollyon, and I do not believe Apollyon survived. I I will be. I'm not gonna say I will be upset and throw a fit, but I will be shocked to see if Apollyon is kind of survives, or I won't be shocked, but you get what I'm saying. But that was like the main good thing that I really have to say about this season is that in terms of lore, I'm really fucking interested. I don't know why, but it seems like with lore they do a great job. And I do want to know more about the universe. And unfortunately, I won't get to know the nitty gritty, all the little itsy bits of details. But perfectly fine. That's whatever. And then another good thing, or I guess is a good thing for me. This is kind of like something that's kind of in the middle. I don't really care for it. But Centurion's rework. I played a couple games of Centurion. He's a lot more fun now. I think I'll play him more often, but he's not going to be like a new main for me. I already have my set few quote mains, and he's not going to be one of them. But then another one thing that I want to talk about that was very disappointing for me uh, is the fact that we don't get any news about the new hero or the testing ground changes. Because those testing ground changes, I absolutely want the testing ground changes in the game. Simply because characters like characters like Lawbringer exist, and Shigoki and other characters, to where people can just sit there, at least in the current state, can just sit there, and we can have a stare off, and they can just sit there and stall, and it gets very irritating. Conk2, Blackbriar, there's a whole list of characters. Realistically, you can stall, and you can stall their turtle with anybody. And I want the testing ground changes just so that changes. But then another thing I want to talk about, or the main thing I really want to talk about, is just the balance changes in general. The balance changes, to me, I feel like there's too many negatives with the balance changes and not enough positives. And like, there's also too many, there's such a huge focus on nerfs and not buffing characters or helping characters out, which me personally I feel is very bad. And the main the main characters who got nerfed, which I'm sure everybody is jumping for joy with 2 out of 3 of them. Or the main ones that catch attention. And the ones that I really want to talk about is Jormungandr, Hitokiri, and Shigoki. Those are the 3 that I really want to talk about because I find their changes kind of interesting. But I'm gonna start off with Jormungandr. I feel like Jormungandr's changes aren't that bad, to be honest. But for me, I only really cared about the stamina drain. Everything else to me does not matter. The stamina drain was the only thing I really cared for. And then I guess the charging forward heavy, I forget what that's called, but whatever that move is, that's also something I'm fine with. But everything else I just don't really care for. And then another thing that makes me happy about his changes is his feint to guard break. I'm hoping that works properly and it does exactly what they say it'll do, because I just hate people in this game. I don't play Jormungandr that often, but I hate people in this game who just back away or roll away or run away from everything that's thrown at them, and I don't feel that should be as viable as it is. As me personally, because in a sword fighting game, why is that so prevalent? Why is running around very prevalent? I won't know. Hopefully the devs fix that, and that's really, there's not much for me. There's not much I care about when it comes to Jormungandr, except those 2 things: stamina drain and the feint to GV. So curious to see how that all plays out. Then next, the one that really concerns me, she doesn't concern me the most, but she does concern me a lot. Hitokiri. Now, this is going to be, to whoever sees this might be very controversial, but I feel Hitokiri was nerfed as a response to memery and salt that's been left over from Hitokiri's release. That's it. I don't feel there was an actual genuine reason to really nerf Hitokiri, mostly because I think Hitokiri is in an okay spot. And of course, Hitokiri makes people mad. Hitokiri makes me mad on occasions. It's rare though, but it happens. And in a game like this, with a community like this, that's proven they will get mad at anything and everything, I feel that Hitokiri's nerf was a bit unnecessary and just a response to memes. Like, for example, the heavy opener. They've nerfed the heavy opener, and it's mostly concerning to me because it's only on the charged portion. At first, it was any second like Hitokiri threw an attack, which that needed to go. There was no reason for that to ever be in the game. But the devs are humans, they make mistakes. So they get rid of that and they make it so it only hits during 500 ms into the strike portion. But apparently, I guess that's not good enough for the community, or at least the whining minority, and they wanted it gone, removed, pushed back even further. And now Hitokiri does not get hyper armor on their heavy opener. And the only reason it's concerning to me is because reading the developer comments, it seemed like this was spawned from heavy on red memes. Heavy on red memes that were still persistent even after they nerfed heavy on red. I'm just lost for words. And I guess now they just want to remove it and put it on only the charge, which it would be fine on its own if that's the only change they made to Hitokiri. But that's not the only change they made to Hitokiri. They also changed Hitokiri's sweep so that the hyper armor starts at 1,000 milliseconds. So a whole second in is when Hitokiri's hyper armor starts, and it went from 800 to 1,000. And the only reason why this is really bad, if this was a move that was genuinely problematic, then I'd understand. But for the most part, when a Hitokiri goes into their sweep, it's usually to catch dodges or to trade. And when you trade, of course, you still have to eat whatever they throw at you. And so at the end of that, Hitokiri only gets a light out of it too, and they stop their chain. That's pretty much it. It mostly mind games. You don't Hitokiri doesn't benefit too much from it. There are those occasions where you could I guess you could interrupt certain attacks maybe. I don't know. I've kind of done that a few times with Hitokiri, but or certain things happening, but I don't know, that just seems so unnecessary to me. There's no reason as to why that should exist. I don't know why they wanted to push the hyper armor back, because I don't feel that move was very problematic. Now, of course, people are going to disagree and say that the move was very problematic just because Hitokiri haha heavy on red, but I mean, being realistic, come on, was it that big of a problem? And then Senbon Zakura, in a sense, I understand why they nerfed it the way they did, but at the same exact time, why is it only Senbon Zakura? There are far more feats that are problematic than Senbon Zakura, and then there are far more feats that don't even have an impact. Like, for example, feats that are too strong: Fire Flask, Spear Storm, Umbral Shelter. Those moves will pretty much decide a fight on their own. A whole fight, not one individual. And even then, Senbon Zakura doesn't really decide a single individual's fate unless you have a bit of coordination. You don't need a lot of coordination, but a bit of coordination. And Senbon Zakura will end that one person. That's it. Not the whole team. But it's just like, why? Why only go for Senbon Zakura? It doesn't make sense to me. It's very frustrating to see that certain aspects of the game are being nerfed just because somebody got mad because they don't know how to deal with it, or they didn't deal with it properly, or they didn't deal with it well, whatever the scenario is. But and that's not all I really have to say about Hitokiri either, because Hitokiri at this point in time is really just a target. There's no reason behind much of anything to really nerf Hitokiri, in my opinion. Hitokiri is in a decent spot. They should have just left Hitokiri alone, let Hitokiri be, but they felt they needed to go the extra mile and nerf Hitokiri even more as a response to, some of the community's outrage. But it's just, I don't know. Hitokiri is probably going to get nerfed again, to be honest. And I told a couple of my other friends when they nerfed Hitokiri last season or whatever, whenever they nerfed Hitokiri last, I said, watch, next season Hitokiri is going to get nerfed. Hitokiri is a target. Hitokiri yada yada yada. Hitokiri is just getting bullied at this point. And what do you know? It happens. It happened again. And it's just sad to see that. And then something else that is also quite mind-boggling to me, and kind of, at least in my mind, kind of proves that they're really just bullying Hitokiri, and they're just going to respond to memery and frustration of, whoever. Not even frustration of, not even reasonable frustration, just frustration in general, is the light finisher. Now, supposedly you couldn't dodge it, which I don't know about that one, Chief. But the light finisher nerf was supposedly to reduce, so they hear less complaints about Hitokiri light spam, and even the devs on their developer comment, they put light spam in quotation marks. So to me, it kind of that already is kind of just like a flag in my mind. But if they want to reduce frustration against light spam, why is it only Hitokiri that gets nerfed? Why don't you nerf Orochi or Nusha? Why, what, where are their nerfs at? And then, like, why don't you just nerf everybody with a light chain at that point? Is Hitokiri just a test subject for potential future changes to light chains? Cause I don't know. They said they want to reduce light spam, and Hitokiri, somebody who's not even like the most well-known light spammer. Hitokiri is known for heavy on red. They get their lights, uh, they get their lights nerfed. I don't know. To me, that's just really weird. Doesn't make a bunch of sense. And then somebody else who really confuses me is Shigoki. Uh, One thing I've noticed overall is that they're messing around with opening attacks and hyper armor. And you know, I understand that because nobody likes to throw an attack and then get hit by an attack for throwing an attack. Nobody likes that. That's just how, you know, that pisses everybody off. That pisses me off. But it's like, why why target Shigoki? A character who's not overly toxic or anything like that, or yeah, he's just not overly toxic, and he's not like he's overly strong. He's just annoying, and he's built around trading too, which is another reason why this is such a weird thing. But you know, he's not overly toxic. He's not super strong, and it's just like I don't, I don't get it. I really don't. It is, to me, I don't see much of a point in nerfing Shigoki. He's in a decent spot as he is right now. He's not like super unhealthy for the game. There are other issues, other more pressing issues for the game and characters that could use genuine fixing before, you know, they really mess with Shigoki of all people. And it's just, I don't know, it's just confusing. But it doesn't stop there. Shigoki's light attack change, it's not something I'm too concerned with, to be honest, because like I said, I get annoyed with Shigoki. I don't fighting Shigoki can be annoying, but it's mostly the heavy attack that's concerning, not because of the hyper armor, but the guard break vulnerability. Shigoki, everybody knows Shigoki has next to no offense. Those heavies were about the only thing he has really, and I hate to go to the it's the only thing he has argument, but in terms of offense, all he could really do is just sit there and try to get a variable timed heavy. And his reinsurance that he might get it is the fact that he has hyper armor, and for the most part, GBs would bounce right off of them. And so now that that's gone, it's like you're really pushing Shigoki into a corner where he just has to trade. And you know, if you want to reduce frustration, why would you encourage Shigoki to trade more, which is, you know, falls back into defensive play, which goes into the defensive meta and everything like that? Why would you encourage him to go back there instead of pushing him to be a bit more offensive or give him more of a mixed, you know, kind of play style? What's the point in that? And you know, it's all these changes, to me at least, they're just sad. I don't know, they don't mean much. And then there were some other changes, but like they don't really matter that much, at least to me. Another thing that another thing that caught my eye was supposedly Revenge Lock is gone. And it's not just removed from one character like Hitokiri or Jormungandr. It's removed from a whole bunch of characters. A lot of characters. Like a list of characters. You could see that all on the patch notes because I'm not going to list them all here. But overall, you know, I feel that this season is very concerning, and I feel like for the future, it's going to be very concerning. Very, I'm very wary of what's going to happen. And it's not because of haha game dead, you know, not too many players play this game sucks, blah 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 blah. But it's just because the developers' choices on what they nerf, what they, I'd say buff, but they didn't buff too much, or they didn't buff anything too significant, because their characters like John Who still exist, you know, one of the latest character, and you know he's like not even a person. That's what's concerning to me, is they're trying to nerf everything into the ground, but they're like not really buffing much. And of course they gave Scent the rework, but like the Scent rework we knew was coming, we knew it would eventually come, but it's like it's not enough to offset, and to me that's not enough to offset the nerfs that we received. I feel there needs to be balance. Even if you don't buff that character that you nerfed, buff someone else so they're a little stronger. But that's why the game is that's why the future is concerning to me, just because of that. And then it seems like there's some unfair treatment with characters, and what I mean by that is like, uh, I'm not sure if I'm the only person who's noticed. I don't think I am the only person who's noticed, but certain characters, certain factions get treated better than others. Like the Knights, they've been treated very well, and that might have to do with their popularity. Whereas the Samurai have not been treated so well, and they're just kind of left behind, and they don't really get much love, which is pretty sad, because you know that's not really how balance works. Why show love to one but not the other? You know, it is just, I don't know. This is going to be a continuing trend, which is very sad. But yeah, that's all I have to really say about these changes. Overall, you know, it's a very weird season, at least in my opinion. We get the we get some other good stuff out of it too, like test your metal or whatever it's called, or metal trials. I forgot what it's called. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say about the season. At least my initial thoughts on the season. I'll probably come back later, towards the end of the season, and just give my opinion on how I feel all these changes, you know, really played out and stuff like that, and if the future of the game is really that is really something to be that wary of. And to anybody who watched this the whole duration of it, just know I appreciate you. And y'all have a great day. Stay safe.